Have you ever noticed that throughout history, and even in the present, there are people who seem to carry something beyond the ordinary? It's not just luck, nor is it only charm. There's an invisible seal on them, a kind of light that cannot be extinguished. These are the ones often called the chosen. From an early age, their lives are marked by battles most people could never endure. They stumble, they fall, but somehow they always rise again with even greater strength. What many fail to understand is this: standing against someone chosen is not the same as clashing with an ordinary person. To oppose them is to resist destiny itself, and destiny always finds a way to prevail. Those who try to fight against it eventually discover, often in painful ways, that consequences begin to follow them. Strange disturbances, unexplained events, and an overwhelming sense of misfortune seem to haunt their steps. It's as if an unseen power stacks obstacles in their path until they have no choice but to acknowledge that something greater is at work. And that is exactly what we're exploring today. 9 eerie things that happen to the enemies of the chosen. Challenging someone who carries light is more than a reckless act, it's a guaranteed fall. So stay with me, because as we walk through these signs, you'll see that opposing what has already been marked by a higher hand is like declaring war on the inevitable. Before we continue, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, because here you'll always find content designed to open your mind and lead you to reflect on truths most people never talk about. And I want you to declare something powerful in the comments. Nothing can stop what God has already chosen. Oh, do you write it down to seal this message in your life and show that you also believe in the power of destiny? When we talk about the chosen, many imagine something distant, almost mythical. But the truth is, they walk among us. They look like ordinary people, yet there's something subtle about them, an invisible mark that only the attentive can recognize. This mark isn't earned by effort or money. It's not crafted by human hands. It's placed by a higher force, one that already set their path before the world even noticed them. That's what makes it so fascinating. Chosen ones are not flawless. They make mistakes, they fall hard, they face trials that would break most. Yet, no matter how heavy the blow, they always stand back up. The harder the test, the greater the victory. That resilience is the true proof of destiny at work. It doesn't matter who tries to interfere or how many traps are laid, an invisible shield surrounds them. The universe itself bends to ensure they reach where they are meant to be. And this is where things turn frightening for their enemies. Fighting an ordinary person may bring temporary success, but trying to destroy a chosen one is like attempting to stop the wind with your hands. It cannot be done. The mark reveals itself in many ways: the strength to rebuild after devastating loss, unexpected doors opening at the perfect moment, or even people appearing in their lives out of nowhere to offer help without asking for anything in return. All of these are signs of a larger purpose moving in the background. For enemies, the weight of resistance becomes unbearable. What begins as an invisible disturbance in the mind and heart soon escalates. Peace disappears. Anxiety and restlessness creep in. Sleep no longer restores but torments. Nightmares, insomnia, and that unshakable heaviness in the chest become part of their daily life. They may try to carry on, smile, work, or distract themselves, but the inner voice of guilt and dread never goes silent. This is only the beginning. Small setbacks soon multiply. Broken plans, failed opportunities, unexpected losses. To outsiders, it may look like coincidence, but to the one living it, it feels as if every step is blocked by an unseen force. Eventually, even relationships and health begin to suffer. The more they try to fix things, the more everything collapses. like sand slipping through their fingers. At this stage, they realize something deeply unsettling. They are no longer fighting a person, they are wrestling against destiny itself. And in that battle, there can only be one outcome. In my view, this message carries a truth that is impossible to ignore. I genuinely believe that those who are chosen walk under a different kind of covering, something that cannot be explained by chance or coincidence. I've seen in my own life and in the lives of others that when someone tries to stand against a chosen person, it never ends well. It's not because the chosen are stronger on their own, but because there's a higher force protecting them, guiding their steps and turning even their struggles into victories. To me, this shows that destiny is not something you can fight or rewrite with human effort. When God has already placed a mark on someone, no amount of opposition can erase it. That's why I take this message seriously. It's not just a story or an idea, it's a reality that plays out over and over again. The chosen may fall, but they always rise, and their enemies eventually discover the hard way that resisting them is the same as resisting the divine plan itself. Those who rise against the chosen are, in truth, standing against the very force that sustains them. No one can prevail when they are opposing what has already been decreed from above. What makes this even more unsettling is that, at this stage, the enemies are no longer merely dealing with external challenges. They begin to feel as though something is constantly following them, a shadow that never leaves, a subtle but persistent reminder that challenging someone who carries light is walking into darkness. In this chaotic state, isolation becomes the next inevitable consequence. Even the closest allies start to drift away, leaving the enemy alone amid their own collapse. After the mind is disturbed and misfortune begins to grow, a sense of profound loneliness takes hold. Friends pull back, family becomes distant, colleagues lose trust and invitations fade. The enemy, once supported, realizes they are walking almost entirely alone. This separation is not random. It is as if destiny itself is removing every human support to demonstrate that there is no escape from the consequences of confronting the chosen. The most painful aspect of this isolation is the enemy's confusion. They might blame others, feel betrayed, or assume they've been abandoned, but the truth is far deeper. People, even unconsciously, sense the spiritual weight that the chosen carries. This invisible energy naturally repels those around the enemy. The more isolated they become, the more vulnerable they are. Without allies or support, the enemy begins to understand what it truly means to oppose something far greater than themselves. Isolation becomes a mirror, reflecting the stark truth that all their perceived power is insignificant compared to the destiny shielding the chosen. Once isolation sets in, the consequences start to appear physically. The spiritual burden begins to manifest in the body, giving rise to what many describe as invisible illness. This is not ordinary sickness that can be easily explained by medicine. It comes in the form of persistent fatigue, intermittent pain, insomnia, anxiety, palpitations, and an unshakable heaviness in the chest and shoulders, as if a force is draining their strength. Medical exams often reveal nothing, yet the discomfort remains. It is a physical reminder that something beyond the material realm is at work. The body begins to mirror the spiritual penalty, reinforcing the truth that the enemy is paying a price for standing against someone protected by a higher power. This stage alone is devastating. Some lose their vitality, their spark, the will to live. Others sink into emotional crises, battling despair that feels endless. It is the invisible harvest of opposing one who carries a light that cannot be extinguished. And yet, an even more humbling lesson is about to unfold: the shattering of pride. When strength fades, health declines, and the body no longer responds, the facade of power collapses. The enemy faces public and personal humiliation. Those who once admired or feared them now witness their failures. The arrogance that once fueled them becomes their undoing. By this point, every prior torment, the mental unrest, escalating misfortunes, isolation, and physical strain culminates in an undeniable truth. Fighting the chosen is futile. The enemy realizes with absolute clarity that opposing destiny itself is impossible. Every effort made with pride, cunning, or force rebounds, leaving them powerless. Opportunities close, control slips away, and life becomes an unending maze. The realization is unavoidable. Destiny always prevails. The ultimate verdict is profound. Those who rise against the chosen, against those marked by light and purpose, face the weight of challenging fate itself. No amount of pride, strategy, or human strength can overcome it. While the chosen continue on their path, guided by protection and purpose, their enemies are left defeated. Some battles are unwinnable. Some forces transcend human capability, and destiny always fulfills what has been written. In my personal view, this whole message is a powerful reminder of something I deeply believe. Destiny cannot be challenged or controlled by human will. I truly think that the chosen are protected by forces beyond what we can see, and anyone who tries to oppose them is, without realizing it, fighting against something far greater than themselves. For me, this is both humbling and enlightening. It shows that strength, pride, or strategy alone are never enough when we face what has already been ordained. I've come to understand that the struggles of the chosen are not just tests, they are part of a purpose that cannot be stopped. Observing this, I feel even more certain that trying to interfere with what is destined will only bring consequences to those who resist. Ultimately, I see this as a lesson not just about power or protection, but about respect for the unseen forces that shape our lives. It reminds me to trust in the path of those marked by purpose and to recognize that some battles are not ours to fight. The chosen move forward with a light that cannot be extinguished, and their journey is a testimony that destiny always fulfills what has been written.